Would Batman be able to survive in Resident Evil Biohazard? How would Batman adapt and take on the supernatural world of RE7? Let's discuss it. For your understanding, Batman is going to the Baker residence in the place of Ethan Winters, the main character of Resident Evil 7. But could Batman survive the horrors that happen in there? Let's find out. So drop a like, subscribe, and welcome back to the Batman Zone. Now, before I put Batman in Ethan's place, I'll explain briefly what happens in RE7. So skip this part if you haven't played the game. So basically what happens in Resident Evil Biohazard is Ethan Winters, the main character, receives a message from Mia, his wife, who has been missing for 3 years, which leads him to the Baker estate. Now the Bakers consist of Jack Baker and Margaret Baker and their children, Lucas Baker and Zoe Baker, and with them is the mutated Mia, and they are under the control of Evelyn, a bioorganic weapon. Ethan's job is to solve puzzles and fight molded creatures to find the cure, and also do all of this while avoiding the Bakers. He finds the cure with the help of Zoe Baker, but an infected Baker, but not fully mutated, and she helps him find the cure for Mia. In the end, he destroys Evelyn with the help of a military squad. Now, let's add Batman into this. How would Batman survive in RE7? I think he would survive, and I think he would easily beat them. But let's just say he has his Batmobile and his gadgets like the Batarang and the Bat bombs and the thermal detonators and all of those gadgets. How would Batman be able to beat them? Now, how I think Batman would look at it is, as soon as he enters the estate, I think he would look for as much clues as possible and find out what happened, what is happening here, why is Mia here, so that he can come up with a plan. Because mind you, no one knew about the Baker thing happening. It was just like it happened, but no one was finding out where the people went, how they went missing. So Batman would obviously try to find answers to it while solving the puzzles, which Batman would easily do because he is a detective. He is the world's greatest detective, so he could easily find the answers to the puzzles. But the problem would be avoiding the Bakers. But I think Batman can avoid the Bakers pretty easily because it's a dark place, and Batman's the Dark Knight. He can easily hide in corners, hide in vents, he can hide everywhere. And that's why I think Batman would be different from Ethan, because he would find it pretty easy to avoid the Bakers, as Ethan found it difficult because they saw Ethan a lot. And Batman will be able to do this while solving clues, because he can solve these clues easily, because the clues in Resident Evil Biohazard are pretty easy. But how would he face off against the Baker family? That is the actual tough part, because he has to do the puzzles to find the cure for Mia. But how would he fight the Bakers? This is how I think he would do it. First of all, Mia. In the first level, you fight Mia. Now, in general, what Batman would do is he would try to find out if he can cure all of the Baker family, because after all, they are human. They are mutated, but they are human. So since it's Batman and he doesn't like to kill, he would try as much as possible to derive a cure for these guys, to save them and like basically bring them back to being humans again. But I think he would quickly find out from the Mia fight that he can't cure them, because it gets to a point where the Bakers become incurable, because they have been mutated for so long and it's just taken over their whole body. They're not human anymore. But how Batman would beat Mia? He would have more dangerous gadgets and more explosive gadgets to keep the Bakers off his back. And this is how he would beat Mia, because Mia is just the base level, so Batman really doesn't have to do much. All he has to do is guard her off, throw a couple of like explosive batarangs or thermal detonators, and Mia would be out. But I feel like since Batman's the type of guy who likes to find a cure, you probably take like a little bit of blood from Mia, so they can somehow research and develop a cure for these guys. Because that's how Batman is. But next up, we're gonna move on to one of the most scariest and difficult boss fights, and that's Jack Baker. But before Jack Baker, when you go down to the basement, you face a lot of the molded, and the molded I don't think will be an issue for Batman, because a couple of well-placed like explosive batarangs or bat bombs to the head will take them out. All one headshot is what they need to be taken out, so Batman's gadgets can more than enough beat them. But how about Jack? Because Jack at the start, he's like Mia. Whenever he sees you tries to attack you, can take him down and escape. But once you get to the actual boss fight, where you take the dog, but he catches you and he throws you to the ground, I think, again, that first part will be easy. But once he gets the chainsaw, where things get complicated. Because Jack Baker is unkillable. You can't kill the guy. So what Batman would do is use his area to his advantage, because he would try to distract Baker as much as possible. With the bags that are hanging around, he'd probably kick it, he'd throw a couple of smoke bombs and distract him, and try to find out the cure as much as possible and find out a way to stop him, because Batman won't instantly know what to do with Baker, because Jack Baker is different to all the Bakers. All the Bakers have their own different thing, so it would be difficult for Batman. But Batman would beat Baker because he would take his time and he would derive a plan, and he would use his batarangs and his explosives and the big like thing that pops up on his body when he gets taken down. I think Batman would probably throw like a thermal detonator, explode it, and take Baker down. But like I said with me again, it will fit more with Jack, because Batman would be like, okay, maybe I can cure him, maybe, because Mia is curable because she's not fully mutated, but Jack is like gone. So Batman will try, he'll be like, can I cure him? He'll try to find out as much as possible. But from the Jack boss fight, he learned it's too late for Jack. He's been fully taken over, and he would have no choice but to beat Jack. Now, moving on to what I like to think is probably the second hardest boss fight in the game, and that's Margaret. What would Batman do against her? Because she is not your normal boss fight, because she had the nest, and what Ethan did was use shotgun, flamethrower, rocket launchers to beat her. But Batman doesn't use guns, so the shotgun is out of the way. But I do think he will use the flamethrower, because we know Batman likes to play with fire. He's not scared to play with fire, because he will understand that he has to do this to beat her. And in the boss fight, you have plenty of space to move, so I feel like he'll put some well-placed remote mines and some well-placed explosive gels around, so when he lures her there, he can just go detonate it and it'll explode, and the nest will get damaged, and then you can use the flamethrower or a batarang, which would weaken her, and ultimately he would beat Margaret, because the thing with Margaret is if you take out the nest, you can take her out. So like I said, with the remote mine, explosive gels, and his like well-placed gadgets, he could beat her easily. Because unlike Jack, you don't have to fight her head on. You can keep your distance with her. But with Jack, you have to go head on. You have to go full 1v1 against Jack. So that's how he would easily beat her. Now, Lucas. You don't actually fight Lucas Baker. You just have to do a bunch of puzzles. And the puzzle to leave and escape the Lucas Baker part is easy. Because the Lucas part, since Batman's a guy who's a detective, he'll find every clue. He'll take every clue he can get. And one of the cassette tapes allows you to watch the puzzle that Lucas gives you, and in that the guy who dies makes a mistake, which is taking the keg out of the alcohol, and it falls down, and then the flame doesn't work with it, and he dies and he burns to death. But what Batman would do, since he already watched that cassette tape, he would know what to do, and he would easily clear through that puzzle and move on to the final one. Now, the shipwreck part, let's just say that Batman gets trapped and Mia goes and does it. He cures Mia, and then they go on the shipwreck and Batman gets caught, but Mia happens. But I feel like in the ship itself something different happens. I think multiple times when Evelyn tries to capture Batman, he somehow uses willpower to escape and he tries to leave. But I think since Evelyn is so strong and the ship is basically her place, she would trap Batman in the mold mass in the end, and he would be trapped. He couldn't move. At which point Mia would arrive and Mia would save Batman. That's what I think, at least. And then we move on to the cave place, which I think Batman would clear easily because a lot of mold just randomly approach you, and I think Batman, like I said, well placed thermal detonators, well placed remote mine, well placed explosive gel. He would be prepared for it, and as soon as they pop up, you just detonate and they'll all explode and die, and he would easily go that part. But the part I really want to talk about is Evelyn, the final boss. What would Batman do against Evelyn? Because you literally have to use a rocket launcher to beat Evelyn, and Batman doesn't carry around a rocket launcher. But what he would do is, in the first part, inside the house, I think Batman would use his explosive gadgets. Like I said, he has to use a lot of explosive gadgets in this, and I think he would use a lot of his explosive gadgets, which would save him enough until they go outside. And once they're outside, what happens is, I think Batman would take like the remote control of the Batmobile, and the Batmobile would shoot the missiles and the rockets at Evelyn, which would take her out, because that makes more sense to me than Batman walking around with a rocket launcher and shooting her. Then it just makes more sense to have Batman control the Batmobile and shoot her, and which point I think the Batmobile would probably get destroyed by Evelyn because she gets angry. But then when she captures him, I think Batman would beat her while using his gadgets. And when the Batmobile is distracting, I think Batman would like find out her weakness and use that to his advantage and beat her, and he would beat Evelyn. But one thing I really think that Batman would do is, because he would try to find a cure as much as possible for the Bakers, because he doesn't kill, so it hurts him to do all this to them. So he tries his hardest to find a cure for them, but he has to stop this from getting to the outside world, so he would have no choice but to end them, because he won't have a problem killing the mold. But these people were once a happy family. They lived a happy life. So yeah, I do think Batman would survive in RE7 pretty easily, but he would have some difficulties in the Bakers. But what do you think? Drop it down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later.